welcome to episode 3 of Inside the Barrel with myself, Dorian, and John as your co-hosts. Inside the Barrel, for those that forget, are a little bit of behind the scenes of working at Cask as a consultant in a technical space. So we like to talk about problems that we get from clients and then, demo some things for you. Quick reminder, this is not scripted, so we talk about it for probably 5 minutes before we go live, and then we come at you with it. So what are we talking about today, John?
Something about idea and the idea portal, and basically kind of putting it in context of the day in the life of a portal dev, right?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so let's talk about it. I think we do this every time. We talk about a little notepad session, so let's get a screen share going.
All right, let's see here. Here we are.
And so this idea, fun there, came up because a client of ours wanted to, have some interactive way that more than just their IT team could reach out to us. And so instead of having, everybody just be able to submit tickets for support, we wanted to, provide a way to interact with, their end users as well. So we wanted to see if we could use ServiceNow's idea portal. And we thought this was a good idea because that portal is, pretty basic from an implementation standpoint. It has a couple widgets. And so even if we don't go and solve that whole thing, we thought it'd be a good idea to just talk about those widgets or talk about the life inside of a portal engineer.
So true.
So let's just quick requirements. Essentially, they wanted end users to be able to submit ideas. From our side, we wanted to make sure that only one client's ideas can be seen by people in that same company. So that currently isn't supported by IDEA right now, but we would need to be able to handle that, and then probably some ACL stuff. Anything else you can think of, John?
I think that was what we had thought about doing with this, is that if I'm with client A and I submit an idea, myself and other users from client A, they can see that, but client B cannot see it.
Correct.
And vice versa. I can't see client B's submissions and so on. So yeah, I think that was it. That's pretty much the gist of the workshop, right? Or if we were in a workshop.
Yeah, there's probably some other internal people should be able to see across clients. Maybe there's some branding, but we could handle that after the main implementation.
Right. And so for anyone that followed me on LinkedIn, I had some questions that I would answer. So throughout today, throughout this episode, I'll answer those questions. There is a problem, though. For those who have seen other episodes, I have issues with my browser sometimes, and the browser I like to use is not the one I'm using for the episode because it keeps crashing.
Yes, browsers that crash always do.
But just FYI, I do use Microsoft Edge. I typically use the beta, the middle one, the not bleeding edge, but the stable beta, right? The semi-stable
beta.
Yeah, the semi-stable beta. I use that because it doesn't crash except for when I do these shows. And I love they have a better management system for extensions and favorites, and some of their tools are much handier.
Okay.
And I don't even know if I have the ones I want on here installed. I probably don't. I guess I'll have to install those because I don't see. It doesn't have. I'm pretty sure I mentioned the one extension that I can't live without. Well, it's not here, and I'm going to have trouble.
Cool.
That's going to bother me. Anyways, yeah, let's keep going here. So the idea portal, look at that.
Beautiful.
This is out of box and what you get.
Yeah. So how would you, if you were like a portal engineer just on the project and you were asked to like, take on someone else's work, right? Here's an example of someone else's work. Like what would be the first things that you would kind of explore or understand or tips and tricks you would use?
So generally, and I just went through this yesterday, when I come into a project or I'm coming in to do additional work like a phase 2, and there's already development work done, I try to figure out the best way to be, what's the word, non-intrusive, unintrusive, as far as what's already been done. Like, so for the example was yesterday, I had to fix a navigation problem, clicking on a link, taking you to a specific spot in a portal. And I didn't want to necessarily unpeel that onion, right? I didn't want to break stuff downstream or upstream from how it worked. And so I was trying to figure out a way to handle it with the least amount of disruption, right? And so what it came down to was a jQuery click is what I did. I just fake clicked the button and it worked perfectly. It didn't bother any of the other code, and it works as expected. So that's generally my philosophy when going into something that's already been built by someone else, or code that's there already, because I don't want to break what's already been done.
Yeah. What about some favorites on navigation? Like, what should every service portal person have for their like favorites on the filter navigation on the left?
Well, that can be, I guess I'm terrible with this sort of thing because I'm not like one of those power users. I don't know. And this answers another question. Do I know? And maybe I deleted it, but I thought I had written something about key commands. I don't know key commands at all. I don't typically use favorites unless it's something specific that I need. But really, under here, I would probably have widgets and pages and maybe some tables that I interact with frequently. But for the most part, I'm so used to just typing in service portal here and going from there that I don't necessarily make favorites very often. What about you? Do you do it?
You could just favorite that service portal top head, like all the way up top.
This one?
Just favorite that, and then it just favorites everything for you.
Well, yeah, that's huge. See, this is why I don't do things like this, because then it just gets unwieldy.
Well, yeah, but now you could just minus the things you don't care about, right?
Sure. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. I did also, for this this demo, I did put a scoped application. So feel free to throw those little tickers on.
A scoped application in idea right there.
Yeah. Boom. Just in case we ever wanted to move this or delete this. It'd be very useful.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so it looked like you looked up widgets first. What about pages? Like, are there
some... I was just going to see, I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was getting into. Probably ought to look at the portal just so I can get an idea of where we land to begin with. Whoops, that's not right. There we go, idea portal. So now I know what the home page is. So when you hit it, this is the starting point of what you get. This is the create idea. So really, if I'm going to go look at, well, we probably ought to want to start with the list, right? because that's how we're going to make modifications to want to show only, stuff for client A versus client B, and so on. Now, I guess a thing that's going to come up here is are we storing anything? So we probably want to look at the table on how those are stored.
Yes, and I think it's called, there's like a new table in Quebec for this, actually, and it's called IM_idea_core.
So in this table, we'd want to think about how we're going to handle that. I think we were talking about company. Was that what we were thinking about? So on, let's see, is it SysUser that has a company field?
Yeah, SysUser will have a company field. Do you ever use the capital .list? Are you a fan of those? I notice on the left-hand filter navigator, if you type in like sysuser.capital list, it opens it in a new tab.
Well, only if it works, right? So I don't like this view, kind of. This view is not my favorite. I like having the left nav on. That's just me.
Okay.
But it's good to know that you can do it that way. And I think there's also like a,
oh no, did I freeze or did John freeze? No. I think John froze.
So we've got a bit of a storm up here where I live. In fact,
nice.
it's snowing right now.
Oh my! Are you outside live streaming from the snow?
No. I thought about going downstairs. So we just got a stove put in, and I got a fire going this morning, and I thought about going down there and having it, but it's a little too warm.
All good. All right. So
what are we doing here? We're doing what do you say? IM.idea
core _core.
That's right, core list. All right, so we can look at the table. Now, how do you feel about adding, like, are we thinking of adding a field here for company?
Yeah, I'm not against it. And probably the easiest route.
I know this is a reference to,
I think it's core_company.
Yeah, you're probably, there we go.
And if you were in like, CSM world, it'd probably be account. But, core company works.
Yeah, so how do you handle it when you have different things like that? If you have CSM running?
Well, account extends company.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, so we save that now. And my thoughts around that now is we'd have to tap into the mechanism, whatever the mechanism is that when you create this, whatever save is happening here, we'd want to also make sure that the company gets a save, gets saved along with it, right? So what does this form look like? And what do you get here? Are we pretty close? We just get title and category and description.
Yeah, I figured we would just add it on the form, right?
What's module? Is that category?
So module is kind of like company. So the other route we could go is you use modules because that's out of the box. So we could do that, and you'll see that the widget looks like it references module a bit.
This would probably be the preferred method, maybe, just because it doesn't disrupt or take the table out of update.
Yeah, the problem is then associating clients to like client A, right? Like, how would you?
Yeah, how do you do that? What's the? how does it know? But I see what you're saying, though. Yeah. It's not necessarily. There could be more work here than just throwing another field on, and so it's one of those questions you have to answer, and then work with your client so they understand that this is the route we're going to go down by adding company. Where did it go?
Probably just need to refresh.
By adding company to the table. And then allowing for a change on the save. So let's see, this is where I want my extension that I don't have installed because.
So let's get it.
All right, let's do this. So do I have, all right, I do allow extensions from other stores, which is good because I need to find extension. So I believe it's this one. This is the one extension I cannot live without. It gives me everything I want in what I'm doing. So let me see if we can get this to come up now. So if I'm here on this screen or on a portal page screen, and I bring up developer tools, what this allows me to do, let me make sure that it's, where is it? I don't know if I even have enough space here. Let's see. No, I may have to restart this. Oh, there we go. Well, it is on, but I don't see it. So I may have to close this and restart it. So hang on a second. Let me stop sharing real quick. And close it and then restart it.
First browser crash.
Well, so if I bring up the other one, yeah, it probably would crash. That's what it seems to like to do. Let me get back logged in. All right, let me share one more time. There we go. All right, so now if we go back to idea and we open up the portal, oh, where is it? That's no good. I mean, it shows that it's on, but I'm not seeing what I want to see here. Oh, maybe it's over here. There we go. All right, so if I click on a specific location, right, like I can do it here on this guy. This would probably be the smart one. So I'm on the link there for some cool idea. If I come over here under AngularJS, I can see the actual data that is part of that. So it's I would assume there's a ng repeat here somewhere, and it's just looping through. You know, they've done a glide query to get all the ideas, and then as it iterates through the ideas, this is the single record data object. Now, if we go up through the parent, we can see that. So here I know that I'm at the top level of that widget versus drilling down into the single list value. So in here, I can see the C, and if you know your widgets, it's usually the first line up there at the top of your client controller. And here's your data. So there should be something in here with all my records, right? Trying to see which one has all the records.
Ideas info, maybe.
Yeah, because there's the ideas right there, and there's the one, which should match. So, yep, awesome. Please do it. Some cool idea. There we go. So if we had more, this array would have multiple records in it, but as a single iterated piece, it comes out as idea. And so this allows me to look into what Angular is doing for widgets. So this is the extension I cannot live without. I am in this all day long, every day, for everything that I do.
Awesome.
So pro tip, SN pro tip right there.
Do you find yourself also like using like console to modify like the scope?
I don't use it to modify scope, no. Not very often. I don't do it.
Okay.
Usually I just go in and modify the code to give me what I'm looking for, or I console it out to see what my whatever, my actual values are.
Like,
yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So how would we add a company to there? Right.
How would we add a company to? So you want the company on the form, like if they create one, or are you talking about on the actual list view?
Both, maybe. Whichever.
So the form, I don't know that I actually would. I don't know. In my mind, I don't know that it would be required to show. Like I would just do it in the background. It's probably, again, less intrusive to do it that way. The other neat thing about the Angular inspect is if I'm not sure what widget is what, like if there's embedding happening, like and I can't get this menu because it's an embedded widget. The neat thing about it's a left control click.
Cool.
But if you can't get that menu and you don't know what widget you are, and it's going to take a while to figure out what you're looking for, again, the same idea. You go in there and get your scope. You work your way back up to the parent, and then you have the widget. And you can see that this widget is the IM create edit idea. And you can even should be able to get the ID right there. So with that, then I know what I'm looking for. If I go into, I'll use the favorites.
Saving you clicks.
Right. Let's see. What was that? I am create. So the I am create idea is the widget we're after.
Yeah, so the only reason I would think maybe adding it to the form just for even testing purposes is what if we wanted to create an ID on behalf of a client? If from an internal user, we would need access to that field without getting too complicated with like show hides or read only for certain people.
Sure. I know what you're saying. I get it. I wonder what they're... So are they passing? I wonder if they're passing a. I would assume they probably are. Maybe not. I don't know. I would think it'd be a view as to why they're only showing certain fields. And I'm not sure that
also a form modal that you showed, I think in the beginning that I don't know if this is actually part of. there is like an idea form modal. I have no idea where that comes into play.
Yeah, I don't either, because this isn't necessarily a modal. It didn't come up as a modal. You just click the button and it takes you to, so if we watch the URL, it takes you to the actual page, not necessarily through a modal.
So do you find yourself editing in this page, or do you find yourself in
no,
rigid editing? Okay.
So yeah, there's an annoying little problem in these editors, and I have it happen rarely. I mean, it's not like it's all the time, but there is occasion where I'll have an error within an editor that won't let me save it, but it's not an actual error when it's generated. So like in this page, if I click, if I make a change and click save, it'll give me saying there's a problem with line whatever and some weird error. And then if I go into this view, I can save it just fine with no problems. The error won't even show up in this editor.
Gotcha. So that's mostly just for searching in the background, and then once you get it, you open it in Widget Editor.
Yeah. So there's another drawback to this view also. Any changes you make are not. When it saves, it doesn't update, and so you can't undo your changes. So in this one, if this one would ever come up, in the other view, you can always, you have a certain number of backs you can go and undos, where you don't have in this one. That's interesting why this won't come up. And then that brings me to a whole nother level of what I end up doing, but I don't think this has that. I don't have it installed here either. So let's install that extension, because I would love to get into something else that I use quite frequently, and it's a shout out to, and I'm going to butcher his name, and I can't even. Let me find it, and then I'll look at his name and see if I can say it. Is it SN Utilities?
Yeah,
no,
Utils.
That's not Utils. That's right. It's been a while since I've installed it. All right. Arnud, I think is how you pronounce his name, Arnud.
Yeah, this is
the dude's got. Yeah, he is built, and I'm so sad to say I use like probably 1% of this extension, but it is probably, if you're an admin or a portal dev, this is another extension that probably you once you figure out how it works, you'll never want to not use it, right? It's just so handy. So once that's installed, you end up with some new things on, like within this view and this view. And I'm gonna try, I'll try to get it, like I'm not sure if I can share it as well as I would like to. But basically, like if we refresh this screen, we're gonna get some new things up here. So there's a link for Studio, and I thought, yeah, there's some quick application switchers, and then there's some other. So I'm not seeing. I wonder where they are. I don't see it, but generally there should also be. And maybe I have to turn it on. I don't remember.
Maybe in settings.
There we go. So there's that one.
The other one I like is the enhance application and update set picker. If you've never used that.
Ooh, I don't think I've used that one.
Really nice. I'll show you what it does.
Let's do it. So if we go back in here and refresh, we're going to get something different.
So for mine, or the one that I was referencing, if you click on like a scope where you would normally click the scope, it's now like the search of it. Like up top where it says Cask idea. Mm-hmm. Now you can search.
Oh, Look at that.
So no more scrolling infinitely.
Oh, seriously. And I've been in instances where this list to make a change takes like minutes. Because of whatever. It's just, you're sitting here and you're like, I don't want to have to change scopes because it will take me forever. Okay, so my icons did show up here. So you see these little save things. What this allows you to do, and I'm trying to, there's a few steps you have to go through, and I would have to share my entire desktop. So it's gonna get a little crazy if I do, because I have a wide screen and it's gonna be really wide.
I'll trust you on it.
At any rate, so if you have VS Code installed, there's an extension you have to install there too. I think he talks about it. Maybe, let's see. I don't remember if he does, but there's an extension you install in VS Code called SN Script Sync. And once that's installed, the process really breaks down to this. You open up VS Code, you have your workspace or directory you're working out of. Once you open that, you enable the script sync, and then you come in. So I'll do it on mine, even though you won't see it happening. I'll show you the after effects anyway. So let me create a new folder. We'll just call it idea project. And then I'll open that in VS Code. So imagine, if you will, I have just opened the directory idea project. All right, and then I'm gonna open up the, what is it called? The thing where all your stuff is listed, and I'm gonna enable script sync. So now script sync is enabled. When I come back to, so this screen also gets a button. And what's nice is if you click on this button here for SN Utils, it opens all of the components of the widget. So this one would only open the server script or the CSS, but this one will open all of them. So when I click this, you should notice some new tabs pop up here. Yeah, so there we go. Then it goes green. So I know that I've opened the widget in VS Code properly. And when I look at VS Code now, I have all the components of the widget open, all the code available. And
you maybe I can edit. Switch share to just VS Code?
Yep, let me shrink VS Code down to the same size as my browser window. All right, there we go. Okay, so stop sharing, and we're going to share VS Code now. So here we go. So now you can see that it's giving me all the components of the widget. I can look at the client script or the server script, and awesome. When I make changes to anything in here,
do you want to add a comment somewhere?
Yeah. Oh, so here's another extension I've added, because I made a post on LinkedIn about this, trying to be a better commenter of my code, and so I added this better comment. Someone mentioned it in the comments of my post, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it, because you can do stuff like this. Right, so I get colored comments that to keep track of what I'm doing, because I do a lot of, like, I'll put a lot of code in, and sometimes I leave things open as far as, like, the logic is concerned, where I'm like, I might encounter this, so I'm going to leave something here to catch it, but not necessarily finish it at that moment. So I need to do, I need to do something like this, right? But that's why this color coding is really, because it catches your eye over what over the style that you have already. So it stands out, and it's like something here, and I think it won't let me do it that way, but on a normal, well, let me do it on a normal one. I think I have to do a something like that, so I can get stuff like that too.
Awesome.
And it helps me with what I'm trying to remember, what I'm doing, and so forth, and trying to clean stuff up. So instead of future me having to go back to past me and reading for an hour trying to decipher what I wrote, I'm trying to get better by writing more is in the comments, because then I spend less time trying to remember how I wrote, how I built it and how things are working.
Yeah, and I noticed it also populated, your function parameters for you, right?
So this one, I think this one's built in. I don't remember. It's part of the what is it? It's the no. There's a document, JS Docs, I think. I think just comes as part of it. I don't see that I have anything in here, but I thought I had installed something. So there's that SN script sync I was talking about. That's the one piece you do have to install to get it to work. But I don't see.
And I saw the better comments.
Yeah, better comments right there is what gives you this one.
Auto comment blocks is what I'm guessing is the other one. Maybe.
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah. So because it uses Java doc styling, yeah. So that's probably where this piece came in from. But it's all in an effort to get me to be a better documenter, because I'm notoriously bad for not leaving comments. Yeah, I mean, it's just not a habit I ever really got into. But I'm trying to get better with that now. So now the thing is, if I add these and I save it, what should happen, and it's hard to show it.
Error.
Oh, nice. That's sweet. It's probably, I think this thing breaks some stuff. I don't remember. Nope, I guess not. That's sweet. I don't know.
Demo gods love us.
Right. I'm pretty sure I turned everything on. Oh, you know what? I actually, no, it should be on.
It says it's running on the bottom. The SN script sync on the bottom. Like it's trying to run.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily too.
Okay.
But at any rate, so let me switch sharing here. Of course, yeah, demo gods are all about, let's not have it work and really
Totally.
make it fun for them. But when you save, this number will count, you'll get another record here of what file you edited and saved, and that if you're fast enough, you'll see that go green and come back when you make the changes. So that's generally how I do a lot of work. And the reason I've moved on and started using that SN utils is you may have saw it, I had Snitch installed on VS Code, which worked really well too. The problem was it didn't allow for multi-factor authentication instances. So it seems to be the trend now where a lot of clients are putting multi-factor or SSO in, and Snitch doesn't work with that. It wants a basic authentication where it's just username and password. And so I wasn't able to use VS Code until I found until I saw SN Util, the demo on it. And I was like, oh boy, that's gonna get me back into VS Code and be able to edit stuff the way I like,
Yeah, awesome.
So, all right, so now we want to talk about getting that piece in there. I'm worried though that they're using, I'm not sure. I see, so they're getting form model. Did we see that in, I'm just wondering if we can see that in how they're doing stuff here. So in data, so there's form model. So we can see that in there they have category, description, and title. But I'm just curious on how they're like. I don't know how they're just doing that piece of it. Because I would think, with like the out-of-box form widget, you basically pass it a view, and that's how it controls what gets shown on this view of it. But I'm not seeing.
So I think line 60 is what.
Oh, so they're just hard coding what's available. Interesting. Well, that's the labels, but where are they?
Where did they retrieve it from?
What was it called? Form model? Form model. There we go. Form model. I don't even see that that's being
sweet
generated in there. That's great. I love when there's some amount of magic happening somewhere.
Oh, I see it. Line 29. Looks like
here, right there.
Sorry, on the client script also.
Oh, right there. Okay. So they're doing it. Wow, this is surprising to me that they do it all manually. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the idea portal was built this way. Because I feel like you could just create like a record producer, and you would be fine pretty quickly.
Well, I would also, I would counter with that and say, why not use the form widget, and just pass it a view and get what you want.
I'm not a big fan of the form widget with the view. Views are like things that I try to avoid in the system. Mostly like they don't get stored in update sets really well. They're a pain in the butt to switch if you're not like an admin, for example. If for whatever reason they see another form and it has the same name on some other thing, it'll stick and like cause issues between different tables. Those are just things in the past that I've seen with views on the form widget.
I totally understand. So I went through this with a client. We had a bunch of custom forms, and while I like custom forms because you're in control of it, the problem is maintenance becomes unwieldy at that point, and trying to get things updated and things to happen fast is not possible that way. And so we converted back to use the out-of-box form widget and just kind of used wrappers around that, because I think there were some issues with how they built the form widget with options and so forth. Like it was hard to pass what I want data into the form widget itself without creating a wrapper that gave me the opportunity to call the widget specifically the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, I guess the trouble that would be there is if the client doesn't have a portal engineer, they wouldn't know how to change it, right? Whereas you have a record producer, like they just add another variable there, and
sure,
it like shows up on the portal.
No, I agree. It really just comes down to what's really required of the project.
Yeah,
and it should be fleshed out pretty much early on, because if you get in there and you build it one way and then all of a sudden you realize this is really gonna create a maintenance nightmare for whoever you're passing this off to, you've already wrapped up all this time in it, and now you got to change directions and do something else and wrap more time up into it, and so you really got to get ready and figure it out before you even create code or do something, because you don't want to go down the wrong path and end up with wasted time, I guess, is what I would say.
Makes sense.
All right, let's see here. am I just going to copy this stuff? Probably. I mean, obviously there's a couple pieces that I have to like change names on, but I would say for the most part, this is just directly dropped in. So let me move that over. Let's see what we've got here. We want company here and here. Mandatory, read-only.
And that should just be company, right?
I think so, but I'm gonna have to go check to see what's happening there, because however they're generating that is, because this is obviously going to be a drop down. We want it to be just like category, and so here we go. So there's most likely going to need to be something changed here on the server side, and then we're going to have to generate the company list also there, and then this will follow up with whatever we do above, and then here, whatever we get there. So there's a few things we're going to have to go and deal with. This is a good start. Let's see now in the server. So what we're looking for is we need to first find this, so category, select category thing. So that's where they're generating the option list for categories. Category ID. So let's see if we can't find that. No, nothing. Great. Is it being done over here somewhere? Oh, see, these are all new things I haven't seen before either. Look at all that. Fun.
It looks like they're passing in more, and it looks like they have a bunch of, script includes, right? This IAM comment service, the new IAM idea category.
Oh yeah, here, all this fun stuff. So this is where things get a little more trickier, and we're almost at the hour now. But
yeah. So
what happens is you either follow the same ideas that they're doing and build things out that way, or what I would probably end up doing is just building my own, because it's not for company, it's not that huge. I only need I need to come up with basically a list of companies out of the table and set some things as that. So I could look at these values for category to see what I need to build, or the structure of it, and then push them into the values to get picked up. So I would probably, just for the sake of not having to get into any of these guys up here, or look at having to take more things out of updates, I would probably just build my own, because we're already going to get this widget outside of the update, and maybe that's a good case to clone it and use a different one versus editing this one. Even though this one is open, unlike normal, this widget should not have, it should have caused you to clone it no matter what. And I'm glad you brought that, or you even started mentioning it, because I didn't even think about it when I first got in here and started editing. And that could have been, maybe that's the smarter route to go here, is that we clone this guy and then make our changes that way, and then replace the page. If we don't even want to do it that way, we could create a new page, and then use another trick in the portal realm is page routes. And so you build a page route to take this URL and say, if they go to this URL, it actually pushes you to our new custom page with custom widget.
Awesome.
And then and then you're not taking anything out of the update, and the idea stuff is still pristine, I guess, if you will.
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, you said we were at the top of the hour, and mostly this idea was to guide discussions about being a service portal engineer. So it's totally fine that, I don't expect.
Yeah, and I did this yesterday. I love having the mentoring shadowing piece. This is basically what it would break down to in a day in the life of the developer. Is someone contacts me and says, "Hey, can I shadow you while you do some development work, so I can see what it's like and get in and learn?" And this is my routine. Is I assess what needs to happen, and then I start going down the roads I'm looking at. After the technical discussions during the workshops and the store, you work with the solution architect on the stories to, what is the word? You give them points and
estimate.
Well, you do the estimation, but it's like a whole thing. Grooming, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You do the grooming with the SA and work through some of the technical difficulties. Because as a developer, you should be asking questions. The story says, we want to add company to the form. And that should generate some questions as you either are grooming or you're starting to work on it with any specific logic questions, like, do I get, is it just active companies or inactive companies? Because, maybe a client comes back for an inactive company for something, or, who knows? But there are questions like that you want to answer or try to get answered up front before you start building. But it's inevitable that you don't, and you'll have them as you build through the logic. But anyways, back to the whole shadowing piece. This is, that's what I do. I mumble and talk while I develop with whoever's shadowing me, and I hope they don't mind. But it's just kind of my process, and I'm sure everyone's different, But that's a day in the life, right? I think I answered all the questions I suggested too. I don't think I left any out.
Also, by the way, since you use the Scrum term of grooming, they actually call it refinement now. Apparently, grooming did not translate in every language. So
refinement, totally, huh? Is that Agile 3.0 or whatever they're up to now?
I don't know.
I'll have to remember that. Refinement. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm down.
Cool. No, this was really awesome. I think to sum up, you have a few extensions that you use, including
right. The NG inspect is definitely the one I cannot live without. Even if you don't use SNUtils, this one is probably, I feel blind if I don't have this one, because knowing the data, the structure that's coming through is a lifesaver most of the time, because you're going to be in there digging through data no matter what. You can't always just console everything out.
Yeah.
Because console changes, if the data gets processed, the whatever console's out could actually be updated and not the same as what you were expecting. So that's the one extension that I absolutely cannot live without. Browser is really up to you, personal preference. I like the Edge one, and some of the big reasons is because they have done a much better job on memory management. I typically have anywhere from 5 to 20 tabs open at any given time. I'm a terrible tab manager, but they have made it so Edge deals with memory much better than Chrome does. And so Patrick, the guy we work with, he is enamored with the 3D view. And I don't remember how to get it up, but it gives you a layered view of a page, so you can see z-indexing and so forth. And he loves the 3D view because it helps him know the layer structure of a web page. Because we do some of our designs can get quite creative, and I don't think Chrome has that ability. And then Safari, I'm sorry, they are so far behind the ball on for developers.
Yeah. What about like tools for if you need to look up Angular HTML syntax?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Do I use anything other than Stack Overflow? So, with because ServiceNow is on an older version of Angular, it can get difficult to find what you're looking for specifically. So here's my SN pro tip for searching for Angular stuff: is preface it with AngularJS, one word. That typically gives you a look at older code and questions on Stack Overflow. I do spend 90% of my time on Stack Overflow when I'm looking stuff up. Probably the next piece is I use Jsfiddle a lot to just prototype code, and there are other sites like Jsfiddle. It's just I've had Jsfiddle longer, and I use it quite frequently. And then Dorian, you turned me on to what is it called? It's that I have to find it.
The Babel JS one, I think it is.
Well, it's not Babel, it's the other one, because Babel took away. They what is it called? They deprecated the 2015 ES 2015 stuff, and the one you gave me, I gotta find it here real quick. Where is it? Here we are. The ES console, ES6 console, right? So that one still gives you ES 2015, and basically, so let me bring this up and we can see it, because I think it's a pretty handy site. Because a lot of times now when you're looking up JavaScript code, you're going to get all the new stuff that you can't necessarily use. So this will allow you to put in that new code and then transform it into older code that should work with, that might work with ServiceNow. So that's a very handy, site to bookmark, because ServiceNow is stuck in the dark ages.
I heard a rumor it's coming. Hopefully in the next or the one after. So
it's going to be. I can't wait to see how they do it. If they're going to upgrade us with Angular and Bootstrap. I think Angular 1.7 handles a lot of stuff that you're doing. I haven't seen where I run into problems with it, but the Bootstrap and Emacs version, I really wish they would upgrade, because it makes things more efficient than how we're doing it now, right? Mm-hmm. But things like underscore and moment.js, when you move them, like when you can get them into the server side and stuff like that, that helps out quite a bit too.
Mm. Yeah, that's a topic for another day on how to sneak in
totally
some new JavaScript stuff.
Right? Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, John. This is super awesome. If you like our videos, hit the subscribe button. That's my point.
Subscribe somewhere. Where is it? Is it over here?
I don't know.
I don't know where the button is.
Yeah. But thank you all. Until next time.
See you guys.